Welcome, everybody, to Too Legit to Crit, a tabletop role-playing podcast hosted by two guys who gave The Tomb of Horrors a 2 stars review on Yelp.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, they don't always have to make sense.
No, they don't.
They don't.
We don't always make sense.
We never make sense. I mean, if we started making sense, then we'd have to stop the podcast and start something new.
We'd have to start something that made sense.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any sense.
No.
It's like an Ouroboros of idiocy.
We said sense so much that word is starting to sound weird in my head now.
What sense? Okay, so my name is John Santana.
I am still Justin.
Welcome, still Justin. How are you keeping, man? How's your week been?
It's been one of those weeks. You know those weeks where like you just kind of like just want it to be over. It's been one of those. It's not been a good one, but I did get to roll some dice. So even though we missed our Thursday game because obviously you weren't well and clearly feeling much better, which is good. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. But I did get to roll some dice on the weekend.
Ooh.
And a discovery was made.
Okay, talk to me about your wonderful discovery.
I am no longer cursed. I have passed it on.
You have passed it on to the next generation?
Quite literally, yes.
Nice.
I passed it on to a friend's son because he has started rolling like dog doo-doo and I have started rolling relatively well.
Nice. And speaking of rolling, we also made another discovery before we aired.
Yes,
today.
we did.
Where I was picking out my dice for today, and I just happened to pick up the same dice as I picked up last week. Lo and behold, another 7.
And then, like, to try and prove you wrong, it rolled a 17, which is right next to the 7.
Yeah, so we have discovered that dice is no good
unless
you're playing a game where 7s are desired.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that could be quite interesting. A game where 7s are the like good number. You're gonna roll it again quickly.
I'm gonna try roll it again. You know, just because. So that's the dice I'm gonna actually be using. But
which I'm not happy about.
Oh, 13.
Wait, where's 13 though?
13 isn't too far away from 7.
It's right next to 7, dude.
It's right next to 7. Yeah,
it's literally right next to 7.
Yeah.
15. So it only rolls that corner.
15, right next to 7.
Yeah. Do you know what else is right next to 7?
What's that? The one I've just rolled as well.
Oh, did you roll in that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right next to 7.
That is a very weighted die.
That's amazing. It also explains why I've beaten you in the last few initiative rolls.
Yeah, I mean, I feel I need to do something with this dice now. I feel something has to be done with it.
I have it. If you give a player a cursed item, that's their new dice.
Or just wait until a player goes, "Oh no, I forgot my dice," and I'll go,
"Here you go."
There we go. I've actually got a little bag I could put them in. You know, I could. Let me just move. This is my daughter's teddy that she requested that stays here, so it's going to stay there. But yes, a nice little.
Yeah, nice little display bag for your weighted dice.
There you go. So there is your new set of dice.
Speaking of that, though, the whole, like rolling with disadvantage thing, because that's normally what happens with the cursed item. And obviously the way 5e handles it is different to Pathfinder. Because I think in Pathfinder, you guys still just do it's like a -2 or whatever, right?
Yeah, there are bonuses. Yeah. It's not, advantage or disadvantage.
I was thinking of...
Pathfinder players tend to be able to count, so...
I was thinking of a different way of imposing, like, a less penalizing or rewarding improvement or, like, negative to a dice roll. Because obviously, the way it kind of works in 5e at the moment is you either roll 2d20, take the lowest, or 2d20, take the highest, right? That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Roll 2d20, take the average.
That just seems like a fuck on, to be honest.
Yeah, but it could be good and it
It
could be
could be
bad.
it could be good, it could be bad. I'd I'm not a massive fan of that, to
Fair
be
enough.
honest. I just think it adds an unnecessary layer. I mean, the whole
Yeah.
point of having the advantage and disadvantage mechanic is to
Oh
not
yeah.
have to do that,
Oh
and
no.
to
Still
not have
keeping
to do the
those.
bookkeeping.
Still keeping those, but it's just because like sometimes advantage is just too. It's too much, Like you can get like disadvantage purely because of something really really minor that shouldn't really give you that much of a disadvantage. And it's in those situations where I think some kind of middle ground needs to exist, and it
Oh, no,
doesn't.
I mean, I do appreciate that, because I mean, somebody far more intelligent than I once worked it out that advantage and disadvantage equates to a plus or minus 4.
Yes.
So if that's, I mean, that is why in like in Pathfinder, where it's like, okay, some bonuses are going to get you a +1,
Yeah.
some bonuses will get you a +4, and and you've got a different sort of, you've got a varying degree of these bonuses, whereas advantage and disadvantage, it's very much clear cut, but at the same time it doesn't really matter to me. As a,
Yeah.
if I mean, I'll never GM 5e, but if I were to, that would be one of the things that bothered me the least.
Yes, I think I've just got so far down the 5e rabbit hole that a lot of the other things that bothered me I've addressed in some way, and this is the current one that's niggling at me. Because it just feels like for example, right, if somebody's really good at like picking locks, right, but they don't happen to have the correct set of tools, making them roll that with disadvantage because they're using like a makeshift one just seems too penalizing for somebody who is very good at that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you still got to account for the fact that it's a dice roll.
Yeah.
You're just hedging the odds, and I think it's fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think,
I sometimes think it's just too much for.
to be honest, if there is one mechanic out of 5e that I would take for another system, it is advantage and disadvantage. I think it is clean. I think it is, I think it is a very, very solid mechanic. And I'm getting to the point now in my sort of GMing career where I don't give a fuck. I'm not as um stringent with the rules and the pluses and the minuses, to the point of, okay, if you're gonna get a +4, you're gonna get a +4. At the end of the day, you still have to roll the dice.
Yeah,
And it can
I was
still
just
go
thinking
horribly wrong.
maybe just merging the two, right? So if it's not a massive advantage or disadvantage, then you just use the Pathfinder +2 or -2. If it is a massive disadvantage, you use 5e's disadvantage rule or advantage rule. So if it is
Possibly.
just they're using the wrong set of tools, right? They have a -2 to the roll, or a -2 to like their bonus and etc. 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 Right? Because they're still going to get all that shit. But if it is something that is like ridiculously difficult, like somebody who's never picked a lock in their life trying to pick a lock with the wrong tools, they're rolling a disadvantage.
But if there's someone who's never picked a lock in their life anyway, they're just not going to have any bonuses. So it's rolling with disadvantage is, it's not only down to their ability or circumstance, it's down to other factors as well, because you've always got the luck element. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you're no longer cursed, but before, you rolling with advantage or disadvantage meant fuck
Made
all.
no fucking difference. Exactly. Yeah.
So it doesn't
But that's
doesn't
because I
matter
was
if, like,
cursed. That
it
wasn't a
doesn't
math
matter.
issue.
That doesn't matter if it's like, okay, all right, so now we're gonna penalize you less. You're gonna fuck it up less. No, you're not. You're gonna fuck it up the same. If you're meant to fail a dice roll, you're meant to fail a dice roll.
Yeah, true. I don't know.
So
It's something that's always bugged me.
out of all the shitty mechanics that system hosts, the advantage or disadvantage does not even register for me. I think it's a great mechanic, and I kind of wish Paizo would have nicked it, but they didn't. So
I mean, well, it does bring us quite neatly onto the topic for the week. Homebrew into your game.
Yes, homebrews.
Homebrew rules, homebrew items, homebrew stuff that isn't just like, I'm going to homebrew a campaign. Because realistically, a homebrew campaign, let's be honest, is just you're writing your own campaign. It's not homebrew per se. Like, I tried to put it in air quotes, but I was holding something.
Yeah, the term they use is homebrew, but it's
an unpublished AP.
Yeah, it's you're writing your own story.
Yeah,
you're right.
Okay,
so homebrew.
Yeah, so homebrew, it's something that I've been thinking about recently quite a bit, as you can tell by the whole trying to change the way Advantage and stuff works a little bit. Because there's so many little things to take into account with it as well, right? Of it's got to make sense in the world, obviously, because otherwise, what's the point? It needs to not break the game mechanically, because again, what's the point? And it needs to like still be fun, because again, otherwise, what's the point? So I've been really struggling with finding a balance between those three things.
Okay.
Because I always find that there's some way to make it either not fun, broken, or just not make sense. Now, this could just be my brain.
You seem to be. I mean, you seem to be overthinking things a lot more than I do.
I do that.
I don't. You see, like, does that sound cool? Yeah, fuck it, why not?
Yeah, see, that's part of my problem, right? Is I think as well, because I do like to do those like linked builds where, this feature of this feat and this feature of this class and this feature from this race all kind of link together really well and have really good synergy, which gives you a really good outcome. But then, like, the minute you start adding homebrew into that, is like, okay, well, now can I link things together to make this too strong? But then you're going down like a power gaming route, and is it just because I'm in that mindset that I'm looking at it from that perspective and going, well, no, that could be really broken if I do it like this, and then I add this, and then I add this. Like, yeah, I don't know. It might just be me.
I think, first of all, you need to play a different system.
Well, I mean, this is in any system, right? It's not just in 5e.
It's mainly in 5e and Pathfinder First Edition, and these systems that are not balanced, because 5e, it doesn't need to be a homebrew item to be completely fucked. It doesn't. It can. There are things in the actual book that are broken because the system is so poorly written. And the same with Pathfinder First Edition. This isn't a dig at D&D. It's just there is a carryover from the 3.5, and these things have carried over. And there's just so many things that are broken. Whereas if looking at more modern systems, they are built with a balance in mind. So, for example, what I would do for like Pathfinder Second Edition was I would get something that already exists and I would modify the logistics of it. But I would keep the penalties, keep the bonuses, and that's it.
Just kind of reflavor it.
The easiest thing to do. Okay, so flaming sword. Okay, it's now an ice sword. That is like the most basic version of what I'm saying. But that would be my main thing. I'd get a creature of a certain level, and I would just basically swap out abilities. Okay, so I'm giving this creature this ability. I'm going to take this one away. And you just basically play with the framework that's already there, and it's hard to go wrong. Whereas in older systems,
challenge accepted.
You've tried to break that and you can't.
I haven't tried to break it.
You can optimize.
I never tried to break 2e. I stopped trying to break things. The only thing I break now is 5e for fun. I still don't play the broken characters. I just build them for fun. But yeah, because there was a few other things as well. Like, obviously, I think probably the most common of all homebrew rules, right, is the rule of cool, which I know you're not a fan of.
Piece of shit.
John, rule of cool, go. I'm gonna go take a walk.
Okay, so this is going to end up being a fucking short.
Well, yes, it is.
The rule of cool is absolute horseshit in every way, shape, or form. Now, with that, I'm not saying to not bend the rules. I'm not saying to not be more permissive or to not be, giving towards the players. But the fact that the players will lean on that irks me beyond belief. The fact that a player will ask me something that is clearly out the bounds of the rules, and when I say no, their immediate response is, "Oh, I thought it'd be cool."
Man.
It's like, shut up, you whiny, petulant child. You've got rules in place. Respect them. Do that. And what you wanted to do was in no way fucking cool. It was dumb. It was you trying to work the mechanics and trying to sort of peer pressure me into kind of going, oh, if I allow this, then I'll be cool. Now, fuck you. I hope your character dies.
To me, rule of cool was always like allowing like flavor changes to stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like that to me was always rule of cool, or like maybe giving you an extra 5 feet of movement because you had a really cool thing and you felt like 5 feet short on the grid. All right, whatever. You stretch yourself a little bit, right? Stupid little shit like that, but not like, oh, I'm going to run 300 foot, jump up a cliff, and then cleave them in twain with my daggers. Fuck off.
I mean, my version of rule of cool at that point is it's past 10:30 and I want to go to fucking bed. It's like, oh no, I've only got 30 foot of movement. Oh wow, you stumbled and you got the extra 5 feet.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah. I got a 19. Oh, it just happens to be a crit on this particular attack.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to go to bed. Hurry the fuck up.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's like probably the most common like homebrew rule, which I agree. I think it's gotten way too out of hand. Like, because people will try and do some outlandish stuff and be like, "Oh, rule cool, bro." Like, no, that's not how that works. But there have been some other rules that I've seen, mainly for 5e, because obviously that's the one that I've gone the biggest down. That have been pretty cool, and I've played around with them a little bit. So there's some variant rules in like the player's handbook and stuff. Mainly the one that I use the most is around spellcasting. Because spellcasting in D&D has never made sense to me. Of like, oh, you can only do 2 spells at this level because reasons. What? No.
Yeah. Vancian magic.
That's not how it works. So there's
Vancian magic is a massive point of contention amongst like the tabletop role-playing game world, which I get because it is a bit okay. I can only cast fireball once a day. Like,
but there's a variant rule in 5e, which is instead of using spell slots, you have spell points.
Yeah.
Which works a bit like mana. So, for example, a first level spell costs 2 spell points. And as you advance in levels, you gain more spell points, more mana, essentially, right? And it starts to work a little bit more like a video gamey type mana system where, okay, you've got X amount of mana, you can distribute that however you want. So it's not a case of, oh, I've only got 4 first level spells for some unknown reason, but I can, still cast a 3rd level spell, but I don't have enough energy in me to cast a first level. That makes no fucking sense. If I want to dish out more first level spells, I should be able to. And then I can't do a 3rd level spell because I've used all my energy on the lower level ones. And it's just a better system, I feel.
To be honest, my favorite magic system, the one that kind of resonates the most to me, was Rollmaster. So Rollmaster is like a low level. You are fresh, like wet behind the ears wizard and straight out of wizarding school. You can cast 10th level spells. Now, what changes is the amount of power points they cost, the amount of time it costs to cast them, and the risk associated with casting them. Because the way it works is the more risk is you have to roll. So if you're trying to cast something that's a bit out of your purview and you don't have the power points to pay for it, you have to roll a dice.
And hope
if
you
you
get
roll
lucky.
a dice, if you roll a dice and you fumble, you can kill your character.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's probably why I've never played it, because obviously up until now, being cursed and all, anything that has that kind of negative sort of bad roll, I avoided like the plague.
I snapcast a fireball, I think it was, which I could cast, which was within my level. I had the power points to cover for it, but instead of taking 2 to 3 rounds to cast, I snapcast, which is quick, 1 round and off it goes. So it's like, okay, roll. I rolled, I fumbled, I rolled again, and I fumbled again. So at that point, we're talking maybe minus 100, and obviously Rollmaster, it all works on tables. So the GM got out these tables and went, "So you're in a coma for 6 months." Like, all right, but that was my risk. I could have not cast that spell and could have gone, fair enough.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I've kind of homebrewed myself a little bit as well in terms of casting is sorcerers in 5e. Now, out the book, they are a charisma-based caster, which I've always taken an issue with, because the whole plot point of a sorcerer in 5e is that their magic comes from their bloodline, like, so it's from within them, right? I've always been of the impression that they should be a constitution-based caster.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense. It makes far more sense than them being charismatic for some fucking reason. And my camera has decided to turn itself off.
We have lost Justin. We have lost Justin. So you guys get to take a look at me in my very sexy ways. So just a quick, while Justin's sorting that out, don't hesitate to go to our merch store. We've got new stuff in. We've got t-shirts, caps, and stuff like that. We've got our carry-on, what was it, waffle on, my wayward son t-shirts, which I definitely need to pick up a couple of them. But yeah, so Justin, you're right there.
I am trying to sort out my phone for my camera.
Why have you let your phone die? Your phone's dead.
There we go. It's back. No, it wasn't. It decided to do that. You know that wonderful, wonderful thing it does where it goes, hey, there's an update, and I'm like, yeah, I know. I don't want to do it. I haven't wanted to do it for a very long time. Can you not? It was doing that. It was great. Loved it. But I'm back.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
So as I was saying, to me, they should have always been constitution-based casters. So I have essentially homebrewed it that is now their stat for casting, because it just makes more sense to me than the other one. And it doesn't really change an awful lot, apart from they are healthier, but they're still not that healthy because they still only roll a d6 for hit points when they level up. So it's not really upset the balance too much. And yeah, so that's kind of what I've done. That's my own little homebrew that I've inserted into 5e. So anybody that plays a sorcerer at my table, they cast on Constitution instead.
I mean, it does make sense. I do kind of agree with you. And charisma is a weird choice.
I just read what you put in chat. Screw you. It is not the Yum Chef cameras. It's just an old phone.
But yeah, I do agree with you that sorcerer, it does make more sense for them to be con based. I mean, if you think about like sorcerers in popular media and this, that, and the other, I can't think of any of them that were particularly charismatic.
No. If
You
anything,
know,
most of them are arrogant pricks.
yeah, that's it. I mean, I'm trying to think like popular sorcerers. Evil Lyn out of He-Man.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
very charismatic.
Even Merlin from the BBC show, right? He's technically a sorcerer because he was born of magic, right?
Yeah.
He's not the most charismatic fella.
Yeah, I mean, it's
every episode somebody wants to kill him.
and it you know, it's even in the kind of the prism of the D&D world, it's like, okay, so here's a sorcerer with a high charisma who is powered by demon blood. It's like,
yeah, pretty much.
I kind of, you know.
It's like he was born from a dragon's bloodline. Okay, he's not going to be very welcome in towns then.
Yeah, that's it. You know, those pesky dragons.
It's like it reminds me of that. There's like a D&D version of that. That meme from what's that film? Meet the Millers. You know, where like they're like, you're getting paid like this much for a site, and then it got, like moves through all of them. It's like, you guys are getting paid. It's like,
yes,
that.
I've seen that. Yeah.
So it's that meme format, but it's like going through the different spellcasters, and the last one is sorcerers going, you guys had to study. Because obviously they could just do it.
Yeah, no, but I do agree. So, I mean, other homebrew stuff that I've done is mainly, again, items and monsters. I may have pinched a couple of monsters from other systems.
Same.
You know.
I'd be lying if I said otherwise.
You know, the ones where, you know, due to licensing issues, they're not allowed to be brought in. But yeah, I have homebrew, but then again, what I've done is I've got something similar and just kind of built upon that. I mean, I did a false Hydra for Pathfinder, which is obviously just a
I remember you telling me about that. Yeah,
5e module.
Yeah.
And other things as well. I think I did a xenomorph.
Well, I mean, a lot of the stuff that I've been homebrewing into 5e for stat blocks and stuff, creature-wise, is from my Age of Sigmar models. So obviously in that, there's like, you know, I've got like my squigs and stuff like that, which they're really cool models, and they would be really cool like cannon fodder for going through like a cave system. You know, rather than just like your standard, oh, there's some kobolds or there's, you know, a goblin camp in this cave. Like it's a little bit different. And yeah, I've kind of brought them into like 5e, and I've got like, you know, little stat blocks for them and stuff like that. But it means I get to use some of my other hobby models on my 5e table. And they have like actual stat blocks rather than just like, but even then, when I built those, I built them off of, I think I mixed, it was like a mixture of like some goblin stat blocks and some, I think it was some slugs or something that I essentially fused together to make that. And again, I did a very similar thing of, okay, well, the goblins have this advantage, but I don't see the cave squigs having that. So I'm going to drop that and I'll take that from the slugs because that balances it a bit more. And they've been really fun to play. So yeah, I've enjoyed them.
Yeah, I mean, and the same with items. You just get something that, because I mean, the beauty of it is that the Pathfinder 2e, you've got a couple of rules that help you be able to homebrew. One of them is item levels. So you want to give them a level 7 item, you just get another level 7 item that's similar and swap things around.
Yeah.
If you do kind of end up giving them an item that's maybe level 10, maybe level 11, or that this, that, and the other, all the items of that level will fall in the same bracket of cost. So then you can deduct that from future levels.
Yeah.
So in Pathfinder, you get players should be getting this amount per level. So if one level you give them an item that's a bit more powerful, then you don't get much for a bit. Future. Yeah. And I did it many times with my players in the homebrew campaign I'm running. none the fucking wiser.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing, right? Is I think as long as whatever you're homebrewing in, I think this is the key. As long as it remains balanced and it doesn't put one person in the spotlight, good or bad, right? And unless it's a cursed item, right? Because those are fun. But like, as long as it's not giving, like you don't give one player an axe that does like 50 fucking damage base, right? Plus dice, plus this, plus that. And everyone else like, no, you've just got standard weapons. Like, as long as you don't do shit like that, but then that comes down to just don't be a shit GM, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and chances are there's going to be something in the book which is similar,
Yeah.
I don't think I've found anything that I haven't been able to approximate. I don't think I've come up. I mean, I'm not that fucking creative for a start.
Yeah. Well. Well, no, I recently found out. So, in the past, we've discussed me not enjoying playing virtual tabletop or theater of the mind an awful lot. Yes. Found out why. I didn't know that this was even a thing, but it is. And turns out I've got it. Aphantasia. Have you heard of it before?
No, but it sounds magical.
Right? You would think, great, that's amazing. No, what it means is I can't picture things in my head. So if you say to me, imagine an apple, all I see is either nothing or I see the word apple. I can't see an actual image of an apple. And that's the problem I have with like playing theater of the mind or anything like that, is if somebody starts describing a village to me, I don't see this village that they're describing with all of this intricate detail. I see the word road stretched out for however long the road is going. And then I just see the word hut, 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 hut. That's how I see things when people explain them to me. And I realize that's why I don't really enjoy or engage with that style of game as much, because I need something physical to see. Or I can't, because I can't picture it myself.
But even like, why would that affect virtual tabletops when you are literally seeing the map with the tokens with the?
Because
I get the theater of the mind angle.
So virtual is, I think, is mainly the social aspect. As you know, around the table, we like to have a good old chat while other stuff is happening. You can't do that in a virtual, because if I start talking to, let's say we're playing with, Couch and Chris and all of the usual suspects, right? Well, I'll say usual suspects. We hardly ever play together anymore, but you know what I mean. If we're all playing together, right? And let's say you are currently DMing and you're going through a scene with Chris and I want to have a chat with Couch. Virtually, we can't do that because there's no levels to conversations in a Discord call or anything like that. Because if I start talking to Couch, it's just going to overpower what you guys are doing in your scene. So we just kind of have to sit there and
pay attention to what the fuck's going on.
No, it doesn't involve me. I'm not there.
Well, then that's just a shitty behavior at the table.
I'm not disputing that. I can't help it.
I mean, when I get to play, and that's not massively often, and there is a caveat there is a but to this, what I will do is, if there is a scene between GM and another player, I will be hyper focused on that, because at some point it's, we can kind of turn it, or there's something that's going to happen which I can then react to. The only exception is when we're round at yours and I've got my buddy.
Yes,
that is the exception, and I regret nothing.
I just read what Couch put in chat.
He's not wrong.
I mean, he's not.
Justin needs some flashcards. I'll get some from the kids' shop in the next day or so.
But yeah, it's so. I think my issue with anything that's not in person and like physical, like representations of things is, I think the theater of the mind I struggle with because of the aphantasia, and then anything where Yeah, and then anything where I'm not directly interacting, my brain just goes, cool, doesn't involve me, and just switches off. And I can't help that.
No, if it's something you can't help, that's fair enough. But
yeah, so
I mean,
don't get me wrong, I'll still be taking everything in because so this is the really weird thing about the way my brain works. If I'm hyper focused on what's happening, I won't take any of it in. If it's happening in my peripheral, I'll take it all in.
Would it help if you were the dedicated note taker for a table?
No. God, no.
No.
Dear God, no.
Because that'd give you something to do. That would involve you.
I've tried. I will be very, very dedicated to the notes for a little while, and then something shiny will happen over there, and that's the last note I write down. I've tried.
Fair enough.
Yes, it's just my brain, man.
No, I mean,
it's not a pleasant place.
It's not something I mean, don't get me wrong, you don't want to be in my brain, but that's for very different
reasons,
very different and very darker reasons.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, I don't have to contend with these sort of things, and I can, you know, observe scenes and observe people's behaviors, and you know.
Yeah, I just can't. I can't. Yeah, see, even that though, Couch, like he's put, you see a fire with a fire emoji. If somebody says to me, you see a fire, what I see is the word fire just drifting up like embers. That's it. That's what I see.
So what about like if we were to do the flashcards, right? and it, you know, just, you know, you see a donkey and there's a picture of a donkey and this and that. But then I swapped them all out and they were all peni. You see a fire and it's a cock. Oh, what would happen?
Just see, now I've just got images though of you know that scene in Shrek where it's like, oh.
Yeah, you just see like a flaming cock. I think that has to happen.
That sounds like a homebrew weapon.
The flaming cock. Oh yeah.
It's a plus 3 short sword.
No, it's bludgeoning damage.
It's a club.
No, it's not. Yeah, that's it. It's a great club.
Oh, mine's not. It's just a club. There's nothing great about it.
I wasn't. Trust me, I was not talking about my own appendage.
Oh my God! Right,
I was talking about the weapon.
Anyway, but yeah, so that was something that I realized relatively recently about the aphantasia. And
it's a cool name for it though.
It is, but I think it's also part of the reason I don't enjoy reading books. So, because obviously it's something that I've always noticed it, but I've never really realized it, is when people complain about like a film adaptation of a book or whatever, right? 9 times out of 10, one of the things that they'll complain about is that's not how I pictured that character.
Yeah, I mean, Game of Thrones is notorious for that. You know, there are people who have done portraits of the characters as described in the books in comparison to the characters, and there's
as they are on TV.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's no resemblance, barely.
But to me, when I read the description of a character, in my head, all I see is those same words. No, so when they're like, so when someone's like, oh yeah, it's just not how I picture them, I'm like, I don't know, I didn't really have a picture of them. Like, you read the books, right? I'm like, yeah, just didn't have a picture of what they would look like. And now I know why.
No, that's fair enough.
Sucks.
Yeah, I do need to start reading more, to be honest.
Well, I can recommend this book series that I'm reading is very good.
I'm currently reading a lot of Lovecraftian horror, as it were. You know, I'm actually reading the Lovecraft tomes.
Yes, I remember you saying, actually, yeah.
Man, he was a shitty writer. I mean, don't get me wrong. Apart from being an absolute arsehole and a horrible, horrible human being. He was a very shit writer. He just happened to bring in some cool ideas. But yeah,
yeah.
yes, I'm currently trying to slog through them. But yeah, so what other things would you homebrew? What other?
I think a lot of the other stuff I've homebrewed has just been like rules tweaks to make it make more sense for setting and stuff like that. Like things like so in 5e they've got like daily living costs
Right.
like that you can factor into your character build. So depending on like what kind of character they are, you'll set like, oh well, he lives a very modest lifestyle, so that costs roughly this much a day.
Yeah.
So it has those kind of things built into it. But like for certain settings, I've tweaked those slightly because like living on a boat, for example, in my pirate campaign, right? The whatever they've set their living conditions to, it's fucking irrelevant because they're going to be living off of whatever's on the boat.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff like that. And I think also as well, like there's just little tweaks, like things like encumbrance and stuff like that, because I know that's a rule that most of us fucking ignore. Because there's nothing worse than, you know, that age-old video game thing of, oh, a flower, pick up, suddenly can't walk anymore. Things like that. So I think, you know, within reason, I tend to ignore encumbrance. But if they're like, I'm just going to carry the castle home, I'm like, no. So things like that.
Yeah, I won't micromanage encumbrance, but I'll get to a point where it's like, you guys want to take a look at that big bag of holding.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's going to burst and I will make you lose everything.
Yeah, like also normally I don't tend to keep track of things like rations and stuff like that because I've always gone on the assumption of, okay, they're setting up to make camp, they're going to prepare a meal, whatever, right? Because unless they're going out into the wilderness for like 6 months, or again with the pirate campaign, there I am keeping track of supplies on the ship because, well, they're out at sea. If they run out of supplies, they're fucked. So I am keeping track in like that setting because it makes sense to. But for the most part, if it doesn't like absolutely make sense to, I don't. I factor it into that daily living cost. Because, you know, if they're in town and they know they're going to be heading out into the wilderness, I'm not going to make them RP going to buy rations from the shop because it's boring. So I just go like on the assumption, stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's just a lot of like little tweaks like that to make things make sense in setting and take out the boring bits.
I mean, I'll do mechanics. I'll do homebrew mechanics for things that aren't covered in the books. Like, for example, I made a possession mechanic for a party member that got possessed.
I think a 5e has one now.
I think Pathfinder First Edition had one. Second edition didn't at the time of doing this. So I created this mechanic where it was, okay, so every time these things happen, you're going to go one step closer to being possessed. And then you're going to have to start rolling will saves to protect against it. And if it ever gets to this stage, you are no longer you.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, so I mean, those are the things that I kind of come up with, just because I want to do something that the established rules don't account for.
Yeah,
that's most of my homebrew.
I also as well. Something else that I've started using a lot more recently is group roles. So get everyone to roll stealth, but do it on like a pass fail. So it's not like, oh, okay, one person rolled like a god, so they're invisible, but like everyone else rolled kind of average, so they're around. Do it on like okay, 3 of you passed, 2 of you failed, so yeah, you guys are pretty stealthy as a group, stuff like that, rather than like, because that's always the thing, right? Is those like clerics and paladins in their big clunky armor, they're never going to be able to be stealthy unless you do something like that, because in the offset of, you know, the super stealthy characters can like, because stealth isn't just being sneaky, right? It can be like making something over there to distract so you can sneak past, and there's loads of different ways to be stealthy, that without like taking that into account with like 15 different roles and all that shit, like it's easier to just do a group roll and be like, okay, cool, you guys pass, you get through. It's just, again, streamlining and smoothing.
Yeah, I know, I get that. I mean, yeah, sometimes, especially the group roles have always been a bit of a weird one. Just because, you know, the way that the rule books have kind of recommended that you go about it, it's just it's either too punishing or it just doesn't make sense whatsoever. So yeah, I do appreciate that.
Yeah. So I think, it's just, I think that's most of the homebrewing I've done. I think other than that, the only other thing I've really, really homebrewed a lot was building one of the RuneScape raids into like a 5e dungeon.
Okay.
So bringing like because there's like room mechanics and stuff as well. So it'd be like a lair mechanic for a boss's lair, right? So bringing those in and finding a way to make them work where they're punishing but not too punishing, but also avoidable if you react in time. And I think like what I was really trying to make use of with a lot of the lair mechanics I was doing was giving characters a reason to use their reaction for things that aren't just waiting for an attack of opportunity to happen. Because let's be honest, like Pathfinder First Edition and 5e, not so much like 2e, because you know you've got your 3 actions, like 3 things that you can do, right? And that's like that. So giving players something to use their reaction for just felt like something valuable to me. To having this whole dungeon built out where, you know, things will happen in the room and I'm not going to make players react on their turn and take their whole turn to move out the way of this boulder that's rolling towards them. That's their reaction. So they'll take their reaction. They've used their reaction for the round to react to this boulder and stuff like that. So it gives players a reason to use them. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, that 2nd edition does that anyway.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Attack of opportunity is a reaction. Different characters have different reactions. Some of them are, you know, probably more. Some classes get more reactions than others.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, for example, I think spellcasters can use identify spell as a reaction. So,
that's a cool use, yeah.
But again, these are things that are created out of necessity. You know, D&D's like 5e's 10 years old, give or take now. So, you know, it wasn't a perfect system to begin with. It's what we had at the time.
Yep.
And it was an improvement over Pathfinder. I will freely admit that. But now, 10 years later, people are looking for other things. They've noticed the pitfalls in it. And future editions will repair that.
Yes. Well, there are no future editions. It's just D&D.
Man, that's gonna blow. Speaking of which, I mean, we're not going to cover it because it's going to get covered by every Critical Role fan out there, and we are not fans of Critical Role.
No, so we're not going to,
So we actively don't particularly care that much. But Daggerheart was kind of, the playtest was released at the end of last week. Have you looked into it at all?
Nope. The first I heard of it was when you told me before we hit record.
I mean, I haven't really looked into it. And again, I'm not going to, if someone wants to come on the crit list and run it for us, I will play, but I'm not going to bother looking into it. But it does have the main mechanic I do quite like. So the GM rolls D20s, the players roll 2D12.
Oh.
All right. The 2D12 are both different colors. One is to represent fear, the other is to represent hope.
Okay.
right? So the combination of whether you succeed or fail and which of those dice is higher gives you your degrees of success. So
Okay.
if you roll your 2d12 and you succeed and hope is higher, you succeed. You've done what you came to do. Brilliant. If you succeed but fear is higher, you succeed but. You succeed, but something doesn't quite go as you want it to.
Something's not right, yeah.
And then the same with the failure. If hope is higher, you fail, but there is, it's
Something
not
good.
all bad.
Yeah.
But if you fail with fear,
I like that.
Then it's like that is really interesting to me. I think that is a cool mechanic.
Good. I like that.
And as a base mechanic, I do quite enjoy that.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy the fact that they're using fucking tokens and cards and turning it into a board game, but I'll let the people who actually decide to play it worry about that. But yeah, the fear and hope thing is quite good.
Yeah, I quite like that. That's quite cool.
But speaking of like creations from the TTRPG world,
yes,
I think at some point we should go take a look at the notice board. But first,
I think we should. Yes.
But first, I do want to give our partners for this episode a bit of a shout out. So, first of all, check out Deals of Opportunity. It is an automatic, simple, and free way to save on the tabletop role-playing games that you want. Just add your drive-through RPG or Dungeon Masters Guild wish lists, and you will get notified anytime a title on your list goes on sale. You just need to set it up and save. I personally have saved quite a bit.
Because you spend quite a bit.
But I would have spent more if it wasn't for Deals of Opportunity.
True. So, and that's the thing, right? Is anything like this where you can save money in the long run, you're going to get free books out of it, essentially, because you're going to have saved, a couple of dollars here, a couple of dollars there, big saving here. That's all going to add up, and it's going to get to a point where you're going to buy a book, and everything you've paid for that book has been from savings. So it's actually not cost you anything.
Exactly. Our other partner tonight is 13th Moon Games. It is a family-run indie game company out of Wyoming, USA, that created the role-playing game Covenant Crucible. It's a game of modern-day witchcraft. If you can imagine John Wick and the Last Witch Hunter got together and had like a very pretty baby, this game would be it. If you want to learn more, check out their official or potentially check out their official Discord game. Check them out on Instagram or on Patreon. 13th Moon Games. We are big fans.
Yes, huge fans. We love it. Yeah. It's so much fun.
We had the pleasure of Stefan coming along and running an episode of the Crit List for us, which will be released in a few weeks' time. We're getting there.
Yes.
And it was so much fucking fun.
So good, dude. So much fun. I loved it. And it's the way it works, the way it flows as well. And it's one of those as well that the minute it clicks on how to like calculate, your target numbers and stuff.
Yeah.
The minute that clicks in your head, you're like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, that's it. It's got the right amount of crunch.
Yeah, it's got a really good balance between crunch and like pick up and play.
I mean, in that sense, it does kind of remind me of Rollmaster in the sense that, yes, it is crunchy, but that crunch gives you the options that other systems don't.
Yeah.
And I do want to point out, it was doing 2d12 way before fucking Daggerheart.
I mean, yeah, it was. Can't even argue that.
Yeah, so Daggerheart copied Covenant Crucible. I'm saying that,
Yeah. It's a logical conclusion.
Covenant Crucible did 2d12, and then all of a sudden, Critical Role. All right. How do you want to do this?
This has been fun. We're probably going to get lawyers contacting us shortly. We had a good run.
I don't give a fuck. I don't.
I know. Right. To the notice board?
I think I could take Matt Mercer in a fight.
Oh, it wouldn't be a fight though. It would be a legal battle, and we'd lose.
Oh, we would. We don't have Critical Role money. So I mean,
We don't have money.
Yeah, we don't have any money. I think, but I think it wouldn't be an epic battle. It'd be a slap battle.
Yeah.
I'm not good at fighting.
Should we roll for initiative?
We shall roll for initiative.
Before you get us cancelled.
If I haven't got us cancelled by now, it's not happening.
It's not been a year yet. That's next week.
Next week is a year. All right. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna swap to thingy. Shall I do partial dice cam or full fledged dice cam?
Well, I'm not even doing one today because my normal camera is playing up. So I'm just gonna roll, and you're gonna have to take my word for it.
All right. Okay. I am not using the 7 dice. Oh, that's a natural 20 face.
Yes, it is.
That's a natural 20 face. I was so hoping that'd be a natural 20.
Natural 20, baby.
No, I got an 18.
I'm not cursed anymore.
You are not. You are not. Cursed
mate,
anymore.
I'm so happy. I can actually enjoy playing these games now because I can contribute.
Just wait till you play Delta Green again, son. You can roll as well as you want. I'm still gonna kill that character.
And he will live tweet the whole thing.
He will. I'm dead. Right. LOL.
Don't know how I'm tweeting this. Right. So I've got a couple of things to talk about from the notice board.
To me. Tell me.
The first one. So this week I got the podcast. So this is We'll Save the Podcast. And they have their podcast up all over the place. Spotify, all the usual locations and whatnot.
Yeah.
They are currently doing a Starfinder homebrew. Now, I had a little listen today while I was working because I have the benefit of sitting right here while I work. So I put it on here while I was working.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you what, their production and stuff is insanely good. Their voices are so relaxing. It was like listening to an audiobook, but with like music and stuff as well. Cause they have like, backing music and little effects and stuff. And it was just so cool. And the way they describe stuff. Now I'm not going to say I could picture it. Cause obviously we've already, discuss the fact that I can't. So that would be lying. But to somebody who could picture stuff, you'd get a really good picture in your head because I had a lot of words.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, it's just like it's really, really well put together. And it's just so easy to listen to as well. It's perfect for just if you wanted some kind of space adventure in the background while you're doing stuff, absolutely give it a listen. And it's just really, really, really cool to listen to. So We'll Save the Podcast. And I had it up on Spotify earlier because I was still listening to it before we hit record.
No,
it's really good.
I mean, I've just kind of loaded up their page now, and I've come up with been confronted with the title of episode 100, and immediately gone. Because not only is it speaking a language that I may be a bit fond of. It's
Can't imagine why.
It is also a reference to Community, which I love. So
it's awesome show. Awesome show.
Biblioteca.
I love that little after credit scene. But yeah, it's honestly, dude, it's so good. And like I say, they've got it in most places: Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube. They've got a Discord as well. Just really, really, really good to listen to. And like I say, it's one of those that you could put on in the background and just enjoy. I'm not going to get too much into the adventures and stuff because I started on episode 1 and I was listening to character introductions because I wanted to. And yeah, it's like, honestly, the quality on it genuinely sounds like you're listening to an audiobook. It's so good.
Nice. Well, I also have a podcast.
Oh.
And I also have a Starfinder podcast,
Ooh.
of all things. It's a very Starfinder-y day today.
It is. We're in space.
We're in space. Okay, so this is the SFT network. They are just getting to the end of their very first Starfinder podcast called the Apollo Protection Agency. They've been doing it for 5 years. And they've got the finale dropping. I think the finale, by the time of this airing, will have already aired. I did have a bit of a listen today. Again, great sort of chemistry between the players and the GM. I mean, I only kind of listened to the intro to one of the episodes, and they were just giving each other shit. So, that's basically our.
We love that.
That's if you can give each other a decent, healthy amount of shit, then we're up for that. But this is the cool thing. So I went onto their webpage, which is the stfnetwork.com, and I did look at their about page. Okay, so they first formed when 4 friends, they decided to review Game of Thrones, right? And, they decided to use their podcast to share their thoughts with each other and a few other listeners. After watching Harmon Quest, they suggested they would try a tabletop RPG. And, of course, they went on to the Ampersand. Rough start. I appreciate that. But a bit further on, they decided to try out Starfinder because it had everything that they needed. It had the magic and the sort of fantasy races, but as well, starships and laser beams and shit like that. So
has that too now.
They are now hundreds of episodes later, and they're still going strong. So guys, check out the STF network. I will be catching up at some point with the Apollo Protection Agency. But that does sound pretty cool.
It does, yeah. No, and I think as well, like Starfinder is a really, really fun system. I have played it very, very briefly. And it was really fun when I played it. It's not my space system of choice, but it is up there. And no, my space system of choice is not the Ampersand, because we do have space now.
I know what your space system of choice is.
Stars Without Number.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so good.
I've never played it.
Consequences.
I do need to.
You would love
it.
To
play that at some
you
point.
would. You would honestly love it because it is one of those systems that has consequences like baked into it.
Yeah.
And combat results in death. There is very, very rare combat where death is not the result.
As combat should.
That's why I love it. Yeah, exactly. Right. But moving on to something a little bit more lighthearted. I have something from Goosepoop Games. Which is just a fantastic name.
Yeah, that's it. There you go. My seal of approval. Best name.
However, they've submitted a rules light role playing story game that was really hard for me to say for some reason. Which I personally, I've been thinking about this since I read up on it. I know exactly where I would use this because the whole concept of it is the players are wooden creatures gathering ingredients to make soup to heal some like really messed up travelers, right?
Okay.
So like these woodland creatures have stumbled upon like these travelers. They have been messed up, and like these creatures are like trying to help. So I would run this after like some big encounter with the group. Like, your party's had some massive encounter. They've kind of been left for dead somewhere. Next session, run this. And this is what gets them back on their feet.
Work. Yeah. How rules light are we talking?
Well, the pamphlet that they have the photos of is no bigger than a bowl of soup.
Okay.
Which is appropriately named because the system is called Good Soup.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing that picture, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. So basically, it also has a recipe that you can make, so you can make the soup while you're making the soup. in game, so you can all sit around the table eating the soup that you're making in game as well, which is kind of cool.
Like that. I do like that. That's fun.
And it's just one of those things that'll be really, really fun to have. Just, you know, middle of winter as well. Nothing better than a bowl of soup in the middle of winter. Friends round, sitting around the table, big bowl of soup each, and just having fun, man. It's just nothing better. So yeah, absolutely interested in that. They have also offered to send us a playtest copy, so I'm going to be dropping them a message to ask very nicely for that, and then maybe we can look to make some soup, both in and out of Imagination Land.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that. Yeah, I will leave that up to you to get in touch with.
Yep, no, absolutely. But Good Soup is also available on their store. It is only $12, so it's not too bad either.
I was seeing that there may be a discount.
Possibly. Let me refresh the page.
Yeah, on their itch.io is
it's cheaper elsewhere.
$5.60.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. It's less than half price.
So yeah, guys, check it out. It looks really good. Looks like a really fun, you know, fun, different take on a tabletop role playing game as well.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm gonna do with yet another podcast.
Woohoo!
All right, this is Waffles Maple Syrup. You know us, we like a bit of waffles.
We do love a waffle.
We do love a waffle. We do love waffling on. But they actually sent us to, or they basically informed us of Outcast and Outclassed. It is an award-winning Pathfinder 2e actual play. So you know how we are always saying that people are much better at doing stuff than us?
Case in point.
This is, massively case in point.
Yeah.
I've looked at the trailer.
They've got trailers?
There is a trailer and it looks...
Oh my God.
Fucking hell, it looks amazing. So I'll just read the blurb. So Outcast and Outclassed it's a playthrough of Strength of Thousands Adventure Path, which is regarded as one of the best APs for 2E. Very sort of martial arts based and very, very fighty. So we like fighty.
We do.
Case in point, I was planning on running it, but I think I'm taking a step back from Pathfinder, but it's one I'm definitely interested in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the newest students at the Venerable Magambia School of Magic begin their academic careers with tests of skill and ingenuity. Of course, the heroes will also have to balance their rigorous course load with investigations of strange infestations and supernatural intruders lurking in the school's ancient buildings. I've actually realized I made a mistake. It's not the same AP I was thinking. Strength of Thousands.
Oh.
I think it is very magical school-esque. So,
I mean, that is something that I've always wanted to kind of explore. Is like, because that's the thing, right? All these wizards always go to some magic school.
Yeah.
Why don't we ever explore them?
Yeah, I mean, in 2E, that is now a thing because the schools of magic are no longer your usual. Now schools of magic are actual schools.
Yeah, well, there is an AP in the ampersand for that. It's Strixhaven Curriculum of Chaos, which is a book that I do not own, but I know somebody that does own it, so I might steal it from them to run it.
But I mean,
it is very fun.
In 2E, like you no longer have evocation or anything like that.
You I remember you saying
the School of Battle Magic, which I think is a really good twist on the sort of lore aspect of the magical sort of traditions.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? It's essentially like you would have a school like Hogwarts where you go and learn how to do your spells. It's not, and I think the thing I think maybe confused a lot of people is, you know, the School of Magic being, you know, this. When I think it's really not it's not a school of magic they're referring to. It is like a type of magic.
And
I think it was just wording that maybe threw people off with that sometimes and stuff like that, because the type of magic was evocation, wasn't
it's
necessarily
just it's yet another carryover from an age-old time.
Yeah, no, of course it is. Yeah, but that sounds
but
really
yes,
interesting.
Yeah, so definitely, and just looking at the trailer, it's like proper fucking production level stuff.
I mean, the fact that they have a trailer means they already blow us out the water. The fact that
we
they've
don't
won
have a trailer.
awards, even worse.
Yeah. So yeah, do check out Waffles Maple Syrup. It looks
amazing name.
Really cool.
So
yeah, we do appreciate the name.
We do.
Bit.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So with that, thank you to everyone who sent stuff in. Don't stop sending us shit. We wanna read things. We want to see what you're working on, and we want to help promote whatever you're doing. If you get one more listen or one more purchase or one more click because of something we've said, then we've done our job. That's the way we see it. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that may be the case. But I think now all we've got left to do really is
I'm not doing it.
Oh, come on.
No. That was a one-time thing.
I'm seriously going to get a soundbite.
It's fine. Do it.
I'm going to get another soundbite. It just means having to load in another fucking bot.
Do it.
I'm gonna do it.
We're gonna go to the lounge.
Can you say it again? Just a bit louder.
Lounge.
A bit louder.
There you go. I was so loud that my mic cut out. That's what that was.
Yeah. Your mic is also the Yamshire of mics.
Wow. I mean, it is.
It's not but it's far better than what I've got. So,
well, it's very old, and I want a new one. And I had to not spend money the other day. I think I told you this already, didn't I?
Yeah.
My dream mic, well, one of my dream mics, not my dream mic, but one of the other dream mics I have was in the cash converters down the road from me, and it took every fiber of my being not to spend money on it.
Technically, you could get it and then just sit on it until you can afford the mixing desk.
No, because I couldn't afford the mic either.
Fair enough.
Well, I could have, but then I had expenses come out that I wasn't expecting, and adult things.
Yeah,
no. It's not what I meant.
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our newest podcast.
Not what I meant.
Too Legit to Prick, where we discuss Justin's affinity for adult things.
That's not what I meant.
No. So what sort of adult things were you buying there, Justin?
Mother's Day presents.
What?
Stuff for my mum for Mother's Day.
Hey, I am not gonna judge on the relationship you have. It's not something I would buy my mum. I mean, I don't buy my mum. I don't buy my mum anything battery powered.
Oh, it wasn't battery powered. It was mains powered. That's the worst part. It was.
Hell.
I did buy her something electronic. Oh, right. Anyway, moving on to the lounge. Well, we've already got one person in there at the minute.
Just want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And just his mum, you lucky girl.
My face hurts. So yeah, we've got two options on one person, and that is all we currently have. Now, I was reading them, and one of them I actually kind of want to talk about.
Okay, so do you want to just talk about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this one is from Mr. Couch himself.
Yeah, 1 second, because I do still want to roll a dice.
Fair enough.
Just because I want to roll a dice.
Just because he can. That's 12?
Yeah, it is a 12. So it just happens to be the one you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. Happy days. So,
Happy days.
Do you think dice games are the only way to play tabletop role-playing games. What other ways of probability or skill-based ways would you use to decide the roles in games?
Well, I know what you're going to say.
Yes.
Because you
Playing
like
cards.
cards. You do like playing
some.
cards. You are a fan of playing cards.
I'm a big fan of playing cards.
And it helps the fact that you know sleight of hand.
It does help the fact that I know a lot of sleight of hand and I'm pretty darn good at it.
Hence why I will never play a card game with you.
It's also why I wasn't allowed to play cards in some places. But I'm not allowed to play poker in some places. But anyway, that being said, I think cards are a really good way of doing it. I mean, you've got 52 options, right? Because you can assign different things to different suits and different values and stuff like that as well. There is a tabletop war game called Malifaux that uses cards instead of dice. And there's ways to like, it's got some really cool mechanics where you can like cheat cards in and stuff like that to try and improve your chances of winning. But and I know that when we've been talking about our own system that we wanted to do, we've been looking at how to do it with cards as well. To implement cards.
I've had updates. I've
cool.
I've thought of updates. Yeah, we do need to discuss because I've had ideas.
Me too. So I definitely think cards are a really good way of doing it. There are obviously, things that can be done quite nicely with that. As for other things, don't really know of many others off the top of my head.
I know of one.
Go for it.
I can't remember the name of the game, but it is a role-playing game that uses Jenga.
Oh, there's a board game that does that as well, actually. Yes. And that's fun.
So basically, if you topple, then
and no, I've seen stuff like that. There's also like you can get special Jenga bricks for this one game anyway, where it has like status effects on some of the blocks, so you could get a block out, but you might still have a negative on that block.
Oh, I like that.
Vice versa, you might have a positive on that block, so you could take a block out, and it's like, you do the thing, but you twist your ankle, so now you've got like a twisted ankle. So then there's a mechanic for that, right? Stuff like that. So that could be a good one actually. Oh, I'm now thinking about like other board games that have mechanics that could work. I
mean, you could always do it with coins as well.
Yeah, coins could work. I think, just trying to think, like, just some kind of resource that you could use. So not even like necessarily, but then I think we start getting more into board game.
Yeah, you do get into the board game landscape. And I think anything that creates a random result would work.
Yeah, random outcome,
I mean, you've even got sort of like dice facsimiles where instead of having a D20, you've got a spinning wheel numbered from 1 to 20, for example.
A roulette wheel.
Roulette wheel.
A roulette wheel.
I've got one.
Yeah?
A dartboard.
Oh, I like that because there is skill involved as well.
Exactly. So, and the bonuses and penalties per character are the amount of dice that you'd throw.
Oh, yeah. So you could be throwing 3 darts or like 5 darts or just 1 dart. Or I like that. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, I guess you need a dartboard, right? Which is where the issues come from.
Obviously, you need a dartboard.
Just some guy 2 tables over in the pub.
That's a crit. That's a crit.
Yeah, that one hit.
But yeah, darts. I think darts would be fucking
darts. I think
phenomenal.
would work quite well. But then, that's got me thinking a bit now. What about that? That game is really big in the States. Where they've got like it's like a board and there's a hole in it and they throw the beanbags.
Skee ball. Is it skee ball?
No, skee ball is the rolling and it bounces up into the holes.
Cornholing?
Yes.
Yeah.
I hate the name of it, but yes. Something like that could be quite cool.
I can just imagine. I can just imagine plans.
Have like mini ones on the table, right?
So how do you play this game? Well, we all get together. We basically tell a story and then we cornhole.
Yes. We cornhole to see who wins. Sold. We'll sell 50 of these books overnight.
Personally, I prefer soggy biscuit. And that's why we can't show this show to kids, people.
Oh, because they're going to be asking Mommy and Daddy, Mummy, what's that?
I mean, I do actually have to give a shout out to my nephew, who's not allowed to watch our show. Wise choice from my brother there, but he knows we've got a show, and I did promise I would shout out. So, heads up, Raul. How's it going? Your daddy will tell you that I said hello.
Oh my god, that's good. Oh, so Couch just put something in the chat that's pretty good. A deck building tabletop role playing game. So you don't start with a set deck. So as you're going, you can add things to your deck that you can use and stuff like that. That's kind of cool because that kind of gets towards character growth and stuff like that, right? You're adding more things to your arsenal.
How would that resolve checks? How would you do that?
I mean, well, I don't know. That would be a mechanics discussion, right? But the deck building, you would have to find a way to do that. So maybe you only start with like 13 cards. You start with one suit, right? And as you do things, you can add in some extra cards, maybe access to another suit. Like there'll be other ways to do that, right? Actually, I think he's literally put in the chat. Start with 10 cards, and the GM hands out newer cards as you level or gain experience. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that, but I'm just wondering how you resolve.
Well, I mean, I guess it'd be the same as any card based, right? It'll be contested card draws. So same as how you resolve with dice.
Yeah, but I mean, because obviously our game is going to be card based.
Yeah.
Which again, got ideas for.
Yeah.
But I think anything with a random chance. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be like instead of a dartboard, you could do it with like cups. Is that the game that you play with where you bounce a coin?
Oh, quarters,
something like that, something along those lines.
Beer pong. DM versus players.
Yeah, but of it in our case, that would be
soda pong.
Yeah, that'd be orange juice pong.
Water pong. I think Couch is literally building out his deck builder in chat right now. Attack card, defense cards, agility cards, wisdom, stuff like that.
But then it begs the question: why do you just play Magic?
Because that dude, Magic is very different.
I don't know. I mean, the deck building thing. I'm just not a fan of deck building.
No, I know. But so Magic isn't a deck building game. You do build a deck, but it's not part of the game. You build the deck prior to the game. So a deck building game is you would build the deck as you're playing.
I'll leave that one up to Couch. I'm not even going to bother.
Couch, I think you and me need to sit down on that one because I have ideas.
Yeah. You guys sit down. You guys sort that. Don't include
We shall. Yeah. No, I think So I think we've come up with a few good options there.
Yeah, I think we do. And
top
there are
cards.
There are completely diceless games. There are games without the random opportunity.
Yeah.
Where it's just a case of, okay, this is what I want to do. is it feasible? Is it not? So, I mean, that is obviously another option where you just forego dice altogether.
Yeah. There is no
But
random.
I know. So yeah. So thank you, Couch, for sending in that topic. It was quite an interesting one. I also want to thank everybody who's sent in anything for the notice board. Please send us in more stuff, because we love reading them. We love kind of reading the stuff that you are coming up with. Also, thanks to our partners, 13th Moon Games and Deals of Opportunity. It is great to have you on board with us. It is great to partner with you, and you guys have got some fantastic products.
Yes.
Thank you to you, Justin, for spending some time with me this evening. Would you like to tell people where they can find you on Tinterwebs?
So I am on most places at Just Inaccurate TV, including the Discord. I'm in there as well, and on our Facebook page. I'm generally lurking around on there.
Okay. As for me, you can get me at dice.camp on Mastodon at Natural Juan. If you want to catch up with everything we do, you can find us at toolegit2crit.uk. You can also interact with us at toolegit2crit on Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube, and I did create an X account, but I've not really interacted with it. It's on there.
Not even logged in.
Yeah, don't expect much. It's but if you do like what you see and you want to see more and get more involved, give us a like, rating, subscribe, tell your friends about us. We love being part of this community. We want to grow with it, and with your help we can do that. But most importantly of all, thank you to everyone who spent time out of their busy day to listen to two idiots waffle on about tabletop role-playing games. Thank you very much. Good night.
See you later, guys.